you wanted them new KFC wings, and you got them, right?
Yeah.
Then you come back to the house to say you hungry again.
We have buffalo wings.
So what did we go to America's Best to get?
We have...
Little kindergartner. Hi, girl. Hi, second grader. Hi.
On August 24th, 2021, a maintenance worker stepped into an apartment on Coventry Road, Baltimore, expecting to find a simple issue. The air was thick and heavy with a stench that made his stomach churn. He moved forward, his footsteps hesitant. The silence in the home wasn't ordinary. It was unnatural, like the walls held secrets no one was meant to uncover. Then he saw it. A sleeping bag in the corner, zipped up tight. Something inside. A shape. Too still. His hand shook as he reached down, unzipping it just enough to see what lay beneath. A child. 8-year-old Davin Thomas Jr., a knife buried in his chest. A plastic bag covering his head. His small body motionless, robbed of life. The worker's breath caught. His heart pounded. He stumbled back, but then he noticed something else. A smell, stronger from another room. He followed it, dreading what he might find. The bathroom door was slightly open. Inside, the tub held another child. 6-year-old Neria Thomas. Her little body undressed, her neck wrapped in something tight. Her wide, empty eyes staring at nothing. 2 children, 2 lives taken. The worker fumbled for his phone, his hands slick with sweat. His voice broke as he called 911. Moments later, the wail of sirens filled the air. Officers entered. The scene was worse than any of them had seen. Then, the question settled in. Who could do this? And why? This wasn't a random crime. This wasn't the work of a stranger. The person responsible for these children's deaths was the one meant to protect them. What do you think leads to such a tragedy? Is it something that can be stopped before it happens? Share your thoughts in the comments. Before we go deeper into the story, take a moment to join our true crime community. Hit that subscribe button to follow more compelling investigations and cases that make us question every case we thought we knew. If you believe this story should be heard, like and share this video for more awareness. Before the crime scene, before the discovery, before the headlines, there was a mother, Jameria Hall. To neighbors, she was quiet. To acquaintances, she was distant. To the world, she was just another woman trying to get by. But to Davin and Neria, she was everything. Their protector, their provider, their only parent. She had moments of warmth, the kind of love every mother is expected to have. She held their hands when they crossed the street. She made sure they had food on the table. She tucked them in at night. At least, that's what people assumed. Because behind the doors of that apartment, something was wrong. Long before August 2021, long before those children's lives were taken, there were signs. Signs that few noticed, or worse, signs that were ignored. This wasn't the first time danger had entered their home. It was 2018. A different address, but the same family, the same mother, the same children. That night, flames lit up the dark sky. A fire raging inside Jameria Hall's home. Smoke poured from the windows as firefighters rushed in. Inside, 2 small children cried out. Davin and Neria. They were trapped. By the time firefighters reached them, they were terrified but alive. Pulled from the smoke-filled rooms, coughing, shaking. Saved just in time. Then came the investigation. The questions. How did the fire start? What went wrong? The truth was worse than anyone expected. Jameria Hall, their mother, the one who was supposed to keep them safe, had started the fire. On purpose. She was charged, convicted, sentenced to 1 year in jail. A year. 12 months later, she was out. Back in the world. Back with her children. No one stopped to ask if she had changed. If she had gotten help. If she was fit to be a mother again. 3 years later, those same children would be found dead in an apartment, their bodies left to decay. A mother sets a fire with her children inside, and she gets a year behind bars. 3 years later, those same children are found murdered. Could this have been prevented? Could someone have stepped in? Could Davin and Neria have been saved? Do you believe earlier interventions in cases like these could prevent future tragedies? If someone had done more, would these children still be alive? Share your thoughts in the comments. August 24th, 2021. The heat of summer hung in the air, thick and unmoving. The apartment complex on Coventry Road looked like any other. Rows of brick buildings, balconies lined with potted plants, children's bicycles left by front doors. A place where life carried on as usual. But in one unit, life had stopped. A maintenance worker made his way down the hallway, toolbox in hand. He had been called to check on an issue, something about a leak, maybe. Nothing out of the ordinary. Then he smelled it. A stench so strong, so foul, that it made his stomach turn. Something rotten. Something dead. He knocked. No answer. Another knock. Silence. His key jingled as he unlocked the door. It swung open with a low creak. The air inside was thick, suffocating. He stepped forward, covering his nose. His eyes scanned the small apartment. Clothes were scattered across the floor. Dishes stacked in the sink. The TV screen was cracked, frozen on a static image. And then his eyes landed on it. A sleeping bag, zipped up, placed oddly in the corner of the room. Something inside. Too still. He hesitated, but his gut told him to look. Slowly, he bent down, reaching for the zipper. His fingers shook. As the zipper slid open, a face appeared. A child. Davin. A knife in his chest. A plastic bag over his head. His body motionless, stiff. His skin pale, his lips darkened. The worker stumbled back, his breath coming in short gasps. His vision blurred, his hands trembled. He turned to run, but then he saw something else. The bathroom door. Slightly open. And the smell, it was stronger there. His feet moved on their own, against his better judgment. Step by step, he approached the door. His heart pounded. His fingers reached for the handle. He pushed. Inside, the bathtub was full. Not with water. Not with clothes. With something worse. Another child. Neria. Undressed. A cloth wrapped tightly around her small neck. Her tiny hands frozen in place. Her head tilted unnaturally. Her eyes empty. The worker staggered back, his legs barely holding him up. He turned, fumbling for his phone, dialing 911 with fingers that didn't seem to work. The words tumbled out of his mouth, rushed, broken. The dispatcher tried to keep him calm, but nothing could erase what he had seen. Minutes passed. Then sirens. Officers stepped inside. They weren't prepared for what they found. Few people ever are. They followed the same path the worker had taken, their boots heavy on the floor. One officer reached the sleeping bag, knelt beside it, and lifted the zipper the rest of the way. He let out a slow breath. Another officer entered the bathroom, his face tightening at the sight of Neria. No one spoke. Then, reality hit them all at once. 2 children, 2 lives taken. This wasn't just a crime scene. This was something worse. The officers had seen death before. But this was something they would never forget. The investigation moved fast. Questions spread like wildfire. Who had done this? When? Why? And then, the story started to come out. A neighbor, a woman who lived a few doors down, remembered something strange. The night of August 19th. The air had been still, the sky a deep black. She had been lying in bed when she heard it. A scream. Faint at first. Then, louder. "Mommy, no." A child's voice, high-pitched, desperate. Then silence. She had paused, sitting up in bed, heart racing. She had listened for more, but nothing came. Just quiet. She had thought about calling someone. But she hadn't. Maybe it was nothing, she had told herself. Maybe she had imagined it. Maybe it was just a child having a tantrum. Now she knew the truth. The scream she had heard had been Denaria's. The last sound she ever made. Another neighbor, a man who often saw the children playing outside, spoke about their mother. She was strange, he admitted. Kept to herself. Never smiled. The kids, they never really looked happy. Others recalled arguments coming from the apartment. Shouting. Things breaking. One woman said she had seen the children sitting outside on the steps late at night. Alone. Silent. No one had thought much of it at the time. Now, every little thing seemed like a warning. The signs had been there. The warnings. The cries for help. But no one listened. How can communities do better? How can we protect children who may be living in dangerous situations? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Before we continue with the heartbreaking story, I need to pause for a moment. If you're watching this video right now, chances are you know someone, a friend, a family member, or maybe even yourself who's dealing with a difficult situation. You might see the signs, but feel helpless about what to do. Here's what I want you to do right now. If this story resonates with you, hit that subscribe button and share this video. Because somewhere out there, someone needs to hear this story. Someone needs to know they're not alone. The more we talk about these situations, the more lives we might save. Drop a heart emoji in the comments. The apartment on Coventry Road was no longer just a home. It was a crime scene. Officers moved carefully, taking in every detail. The smell of death clung to the air. The silence was heavy. The weight of what had happened was inescapable. 2 children, murdered. Now, they needed answers. Who had done this? And where was their mother? August 25th, 2021. Less than 24 hours after the gruesome discovery, police were already piecing the case together. The apartment had no sign of forced entry. No struggle, no broken locks. The person who had done this had walked in freely, had known these children, had been inside that home before. The name Jameria Hall surfaced quickly. A mother. Missing. They checked hospitals. No sign of her. They searched shelters. Nothing. Then they went digital. Social media. Bank records. Security cameras. One lead. Then another. Then a location. A street corner in Baltimore, a few miles from the apartment. Officers moved in. Unmarked cars rolled up. They spotted her, walking aimlessly, her clothes disheveled, her hair unkempt, her eyes empty. She didn't run. She didn't fight. She just stood there as they surrounded her, as they took her into custody. Inside the interrogation room, she sat still. The walls closed in. The air buzzed with silence. An officer slid a photograph across the table. Davin's face. Lifeless. Cold. Then another. Neria. Her eyes flickered over the images. No tears. No reaction. Then she spoke. And what she said chilled them to their core. I did it. A confession. No hesitation. No remorse. Jameria Hall had murdered her own children. Neighbors had seen the signs, but only now did they realize what they had meant. The weeks leading up to the tragedy had been filled with whispers of something off. One neighbor had noticed Jameria talking to herself outside, her voice barely above a whisper. The words made no sense. They were jumbled, frantic, as if she were speaking to someone who wasn't there. Another recalled how she had suddenly pulled her children inside one afternoon, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. A store clerk remembered her standing in the aisle, staring at a shelf of kitchen knives for what felt like an eternity. Her fingers grazed the handles before she walked away, empty-handed. The children's father, though not living with them, had sensed something was wrong. The last time he saw Davin and Neria, their mother barely spoke. Her eyes darted around, suspicious of things that weren't there. When he asked her what was wrong, she just mumbled something under her breath. Then she stopped answering his calls. Then the kids stopped answering too. No one knew just how deep her mind had sunk into darkness. No one knew what she was capable of. Until it was too late. She had confessed. But why? What had led her to do this? What had pushed her to the edge? What signs should we be aware of that might indicate someone is struggling and needs help? Could something have been done to prevent this? Share your thoughts in the comments. Jameria Hall had confessed. The case seemed open and shut. A mother admitted to killing her own children. 2 innocent lives taken in the place where they should have been safest. The justice system would handle the rest. Or so everyone thought. The courtroom was silent as the judge entered. The air was thick with tension. Prosecutors were prepared for what should have been a straightforward path toward conviction. The evidence was there. The confession was clear. But then, the defense spoke. Jameria Hall, they argued, wasn't capable of standing trial. She didn't understand what was happening. She wasn't fit to face justice. Not yet. A psychiatric evaluation was ordered. Doctors examined her, studied her behavior, listened to the way she spoke, watched the way she reacted or didn't react to what she had done. And their conclusion? She was incompetent. The ruling was official. In September 2021, the judge declared that Jameria Hall could not stand trial. Not because of lack of evidence. Not because she was innocent. But because, in the eyes of the court, she didn't fully comprehend the weight of her own actions. No prison. No sentencing. Instead, she would be sent away to receive treatment in a state hospital. Justice, it seemed, was put on hold. Months passed. Time moved forward. But the wounds this case left on the community remained fresh. Then, in March 2022, something changed. Another evaluation. More assessments. More studies of Jameria Hall's mental state. And this time, a different ruling. She was competent now. She could stand trial. The legal process, stalled for months, was suddenly back in motion. Prosecutors wasted no time. The charges stood firm. 2 counts of first-degree murder. 2 counts of first-degree child abuse. The weight of it all pressed down. And then, in April 2024, she made her choice. A guilty plea. She admitted to it all, taking the life of her son, her daughter, ending them in ways too brutal to comprehend. The courtroom was silent as the judge prepared to deliver the final ruling. But there was one last twist. Despite her guilty plea, Hall's attorneys presented one final argument. She wasn't just mentally unwell at the time of her arrest. She had been unwell when she committed the crime. Not just unstable. Not just struggling. Legally, not criminally responsible. The court considered the plea. Psychiatric experts testified. They dissected her past, her state of mind, the signs that had been overlooked. And in the end, the ruling was made. Jameria Hall would not be sent to prison. Instead, she would be committed to a state hospital for treatment. No prison bars. No life sentence. A hospital room. Therapy. Medication. She would remain there indefinitely, under psychiatric care. Would she stay locked away forever? Or would there come a day when doctors decided she was well enough to be released? 2 children are gone forever. Their lives were taken in ways too brutal to describe. But the woman responsible will not serve a prison sentence. She will receive treatment in a psychiatric hospital. Justice served or justice denied? How should the legal system balance mental health considerations with accountability in cases like this? Should someone who commits such an act ever be free again? Share your thoughts in the comments. 2 children are dead. A mother confessed to their murders. The justice system made its ruling. But one question lingers. Could this have been prevented? The signs were there years before August 2021. Go back to 2018. A fire. Smoke filling the air. 2 children pulled from the flames. And their mother? Jameria Hall had set the fire herself. She was convicted. She was sentenced. But only for a year. And when she walked free, Child Protective Services had a decision to make. What should be done with the children? Were they safe with their mother? Could she be trusted? The answer should have been clear. But CPS allowed her to regain custody. Davin and Neria were handed back to the same woman who had once put their lives at risk. No long-term intervention. No follow-up check strong enough to stop what was coming. No one knocked on the door of that Coventry Road apartment in the days leading up to August 19, 2021. No one was there to stop the tragedy before it unfolded. The system that was designed to protect them failed them. And now they are gone. This wasn't just about one case. It wasn't just about one mother who lost her grip on reality. It wasn't just about two children whose cries for help were never heard. This was about something bigger. A system overwhelmed. Child Protective Services, underfunded, understaffed, drowning in cases. Social workers juggling too many children, too many families, too many warning signs missed. The criminal justice system, sending a mother to jail for a single year after setting a fire with her children inside. Mental health services, failing to catch the early signs, failing to intervene when it mattered most. And the people around them, neighbors who heard screams, family members who sensed something was wrong, yet no one stepped in until it was too late. So, we ask again, could this have been prevented? And more importantly, how do we stop it from happening again? What reforms are necessary to better protect vulnerable children in our communities? Should Child Protective Services have done more? Should laws change to prevent children from being returned to dangerous homes? Share your thoughts in the comments. 2 young lives lost. Davin Thomas Jr. was just 8 years old. A boy with his whole life ahead of him. A child who should have been playing outside, laughing with friends, dreaming about what he wanted to be when he grew up. Jameria Thomas was only 6. Innocent, full of energy. A little girl who never got the chance to see her next birthday. They should have been safe. They should have been protected. Instead, they died in their own home, in the hands of the one person meant to love them most. Jameria Hall confessed. She admitted to what she had done. Yet, instead of prison, she was sent to a psychiatric hospital. The justice system made its decision. But was it the right one? Was she truly unable to control her actions? Or did the system fail to hold her accountable? Could Child Protective Services have done more to prevent this tragedy? Could mental health professionals have intervened sooner? Could neighbors, family members, or anyone in the community have spoken up in time? So many missed opportunities. So many questions with no easy answers. And the most haunting thought of all, how many other children, right now, are living in homes where history is waiting to repeat itself? This isn't just a story about one family. This is a wake-up call. Signs of mental distress cannot be ignored. Warning signs in unstable homes must be taken seriously. Child Protective Services cannot be stretched thin to the point where children slip through the cracks. And, as a community, people must stop looking away. If something feels wrong, speak up. If a child looks afraid, ask why. If someone is struggling with their mental health, help them find the support they need before tragedy strikes. Davin and Neria didn't have a voice when they needed it most. But we do. And maybe, just maybe, using it could save another life. What are your thoughts? Should cases like this be handled differently? Have you ever seen warning signs in someone but weren't sure what to do? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you or someone you know needs help, don't wait. Speak up. Because silence can be deadly. In the end, 2 innocent children were lost. Davin and Neria, a young boy and girl who had their whole lives ahead of them, never got a chance to grow, to laugh, or to dream. Instead, their lives were tragically cut short by the one person who should have protected them, their mother. Jameria Hall, once a hopeful woman with plans for the future, became a figure of horror, her confession echoing through the halls of the courtroom. Yet, despite this confession, the legal system chose a different path. She was not sentenced to prison, but instead committed to a state hospital under the plea of being not criminally responsible due to her mental health. The questions that remain are haunting. Could this tragedy have been avoided? Was there a point, somewhere in the past, where things could have turned out differently for Davin, Neria, and Jameria? We've seen the signs, the fire, the erratic behavior, the strange conversations, the warnings that came too late, but there was no intervention that could save them in time. The very system that was supposed to protect these children failed them. And now, the consequences ripple through the community, leaving behind broken hearts and lingering doubts about the safety of other children. This case isn't just about a mother's crimes. It's about a bigger, systemic failure. A failure to recognize the signs of mental health struggles. A failure to take action before it's too late. A failure in child welfare systems that should have intervened long before August 2021. We can't bring Davin and Neria back, but we can change the future. We must all be vigilant. We must support mental health initiatives and child welfare programs in our communities. Too many children go unheard. Too many families struggle in silence. It's time to stop turning a blind eye. The safety of children is everyone's responsibility. There is no excuse for letting something like this happen again. Together, we can help protect vulnerable children and ensure families get the support they need before it's too late. What are your thoughts on how we can better protect children in our communities? Have you witnessed warning signs of abuse or mental health issues in someone close to you? What can we do as a society to step in before tragedy strikes? Leave your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your voice could make a difference. And remember, always stay vigilant, because we never know when it might be too late to make a difference.